let me guess why you're here. You're posting 3 times a week, your content looks really cute, you feel like you're doing everything right, but when it comes to booking clients, it's tumbleweeds. That is because the trap so many business owners are falling into in 2025 is chasing trends and using the same recycled Canva template. Let's get real for a second. Posting consistently is not a strong enough strategy on its own. Going viral does not equal visibility or even sales in your business. And well, if you're not creating conversion content or selling your offer, you basically just got an online journal in the form of an Instagram page. In today's episode, I am breaking down how to actually build a strategy that works in 2025. One that brings in leads, builds trust, and helps you sell without spiraling. Oh my gosh, guys, buckle up. It's going to be a good one. Welcome to the Dishing Up Digital podcast, where the dress code is sweatpants and the business model is freedom first. I'm your host, Ellen, and I quit my 9-to-5 job because it was sucking the soul out of me, and I figured out the Wi-Fi was better at home anyway. And now I am a proud 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. grind girly, building a business that feels good, pays well, and leaves room for a glass of midday rosé. Around here, we are not chasing the hustle. We're building freedom-first businesses that make an impact on the world without sacrificing our sanity. Whether you're a coach, creator, service provider, or CEO in the making, this podcast is your permission slip to do business your way. With strategy that slaps, mindset that moves, and the vibes that feel like a voice note from your biz bestie, this is Dishing Up Digital, baby. The wine is optional, but revenue isn't. Whenever I make a podcast episode about strategy, it pops off in the analytics. Like I can see it. It's like clockwork. And I know it's because people are so frustrated with growth on social media right now. And let's be real for a second. The algorithm is sometimes not algorithming. And as a business owner, all we want is for our customers to see our content so that they can buy from us, so that they can sign up to work with us. And it seems like a really simple request for good old Mark Zuckerberg and all of the head honchos at Meta and Instagram and TikTok. But instead, we're in a little bit of like a war on social media. Like there is this battle for attention. And part of the reason for that is because there are 2 billion reels being posted each day. So it's not in your head. There is more competition, but there are things we can tweak and change with our social media strategy to set ourselves up for success. And I'm not talking about vanity metrics. If you clicked on this video because you want to go viral, you want to get lots of likes and followers, please see yourself out. The social media strategy I teach is about generating sales in your business. That is my focus because likes do not pay the bill. And I am living, breathing proof that these strategies work because I was able to hit my first 6 figures with only 3,000 Instagram followers. Even today, I've got a beautiful community of 17,000 on Instagram, but that is not large in the grand scheme of things. Yet I pay myself still a 6-figure salary from my business. The income coming through the door is well over multiple 6 figures. And I'm just super grateful that I get to do a job that I love every single day. And I love to help others build their dream business. So if that is you, welcome. Come on in, take a seat, get a cup of tea, get your glass of rosé. We are going to get down to business on building your social media strategy. First things first, we've got to talk about what's not working, why you're not getting results on social media and why your current strategy isn't working. Number 1 is posting consistently, but posting without direction. If you do not have clear goals, if you do not have a clear offer suite of what you're selling in your business, posting consistently is just a waste of your time. If you have a small community, you actually have a bit of an advantage at the moment because instead of focusing on feeding this huge community, this huge audience, you can focus on number 1, delivering a really good service, number 2, perfecting and refining your funnels and your offer suite. Because I know so many people that go viral and then they don't even have a funnel set up. They don't even have a strategic offer, or they don't have like a proven offer that actually gets results for their clients. So they have this viral post and they get all this attention, they get all these views, and then they're like, oh wait, like I don't actually know how to sell anything. And again, I'll say it so many times in this video, views do not pay the bills. So if you've been down on yourself recently because you're not getting the views and the follows that you want, I really want you to shift that mindset and know that it will happen. But it's not going to happen if you don't have the right plan, if you don't have an offer suite in place, if you don't have proven services to sell. And I hate it when social media or a bad social media strategy gets the blame for not creating sales, when in reality there's like no landing page, there's no email funnel, or the offer itself hasn't been optimized properly and isn't actually going to help the audience. So take a little bit of a step back when it comes to building your strategy and do a business audit. Sit down, run the numbers on what in your offer suite is working, what's not working, what clients are most attracted to, what is the best, most popular offer that you have, how can you double down on that? Trim the fat, get rid of anything that is not working, that isn't attracting clients. And again, business is all about testing things. Like, I have had so many offers that I have put out there and then scrapped. I've been like, no, never mind. People don't like this. Like, you do need to be putting stuff out there. You do need to be testing, but also have that critical eye and that discipline to be like, okay, that one's not working. Like, we tried it and it's not working. We're going to cut that off. Now, the other reason that your social media strategy is probably not working in 2025 anymore is you're still relying on trends and templates. You've also been taught to ask, what should I post? Instead of, what do I want this post to achieve? And this does come back to what I've just mentioned around setting goals and being really intentional with your business, knowing the exact customer flow in your offer suite and who you're serving at each different offer point and price point. There is nothing wrong with having some solid Canva templates that you can repurpose, but I'm seeing a huge over-reliance on Canva templates and people just posting for the sake of posting. I would rather you post less and actually put more thought and intention behind each piece of content. Your social media strategy is not just a content calendar. It's not just saying, okay, I'm going to post Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. every day. That is only such a small part of it. Your strategy should be an entire client attraction system. So let's unpack this a little bit further and what is actually in my social media strategy for 2025 and what you should be doing with yours. There are 4 core layers to this. Number 1 is platform clarity. You'll notice that this episode has all been about social media strategy and not necessarily Instagram, although I do keep calling up, or I still keep mentioning Instagram and my mate, Mark Zuckerberg, because that is my specialty. Like, that is my zone of genius and that is my primary platform in my business. I'm still posting obviously on YouTube, on Pinterest, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, and there's so many platforms I'm starting to forget. I also have an email list, but that's an ecosystem that I've built over time. And for those that are newer in their business journey, I want you to choose a platform that is going to suit, number 1, your style of business and your style of marketing, and number 2, the results that you're wanting to achieve. As an example, I've been helping someone recently who's starting a new business and they do not like Instagram. Like, and although I love it, and you know, it's a little bit of an insult when someone's like, oh, Instagram, it's so disgusting, I hate it. And I'm like, my child, my baby. No, not really. I still have a bit of a hate-love relationship with Instagram and the algorithm. At the end of the day, it's not fully in our control and it is a hard platform to be on. And what is interesting about Instagram is it is really big with consistency. Like, you have to be showing up very consistently. You have to be on that app every single day. And this particular person I was working with has no interest in doing that. Like, they've tried that game before. And instead, with the model of their business that they're creating and their digital products, they are looking at a blog and Pinterest and other platforms that are going to give them more evergreen traffic so that they don't have to post every single day, or they don't have to make new content every single day in the case of Pinterest. And I think a lot of business owners set themselves up for failure because they think their social media strategy has to be a copy and paste version of mine, or a copy and paste version of whoever they saw on their Reels Explore page who has 200,000 followers. So they must know what they're talking about and we must copy them. No, we're not doing that. Strategy is personalized. It's personalized to you, your preferences, what you like. Because trust me, if you don't like posting on Instagram and you build your strategy around posting every day on Instagram, you're going to create a living hell for yourself. And then you're going to be miserable and then you're not going to do it. And the other thing is, different businesses have different goals. So I want you to get really clear on which platform is going to be your primary platform, which platform is going to be your secondary one that feeds into your primary platform so you can cross post and there's not, you don't have to create entirely new content for every single platform. I also want you to understand the purpose of each channel that you're posting on. For an example, in my business, I obviously, let's use my Instagram and podcast and YouTube as an example, because to be honest, LinkedIn and Pinterest is just straight repurposing, and it's only something I've been doing this year. For the majority of my business journey, I've had Instagram and YouTube as my primary and my secondary platform. What worked about my strategy was recognizing that Instagram was a place for like conversions, it was a place for flash promos, it was a place for trendy content and quick content, and also sometimes more like casual and candid content. When I would compare that to either my YouTube channel or my podcast, they were more my evergreen platforms. So I would focus on topics that had really good searchability. I focused on creating funnels off those platforms that were evergreen and would always be running continuously, versus Instagram is where I'd have my flash promos, where I'd have live classes that I'd been promoting. Each platform had a different intention, it had a different purpose. The next step is nailing your content objectives. This is a fancy way of saying your content goals. Like, what are you trying to achieve with your content? And again, this is where we get away from that trap of just posting for the sake of posting, and we're posting with intention. I want you to ask yourself, are you trying to grow right now? Are you trying to get more followers? Are you trying to grow your community? Or are you actually just trying to book 3 clients, like 3 clients for your one-on-one services? Are you focusing on nurturing and building the relationship with your audience? I actually went through this recently, in particular with my email list. I've grown my email list to over 10,000 subscribers. But what I noticed last year in particular, I was so focused on new subscribers and growing that my open rate was starting to drop. My engagement was starting to drop. And I realized, why was I trying to get more and more subscribers on my email list instead of actually just like nurturing and looking after the ones that are right here, the ones that are already subscribed? So that was a big shift for me this year. I actually turned off a lot of my paid ads, which were funneling into my email list. And instead, I focused on sending very valuable weekly email newsletters that were either focused around educational tips or information for my audience, or sharing some of my personal stories. And this has been really cool for me and really rewarding. So I want to put that out there because I know a lot of us, the large majority, have that growth goal, but I think we do need to remind ourselves that that nurture goal and the building of relationships is still very important to have in our content objectives. The third layer or third tip we need to be aware of when it comes to building our social media strategy in 2025 is the buyer's journey. We need to understand our audience on such a deep level. We need to understand where they're at in their journey and where we can meet them with our content and with our services. And I feel like sometimes this topic can be a bit complicated and a bit overwhelming. Often I'll kind of talk about this as, your audience research and looking at your audience demographics. But I really think in this day and age, or in this year of Instagram, we need to go a little bit deeper than that. And often we create content that may not be meeting the client where they're at, or may not be meeting the audience member or follower where they are at right now. And I have made this mistake in my business as well, where I take things for granted. Like, I take some of my knowledge for granted, and I think something that I might be sharing might be common sense, when in reality it's 3 steps ahead of my ideal customer. Or there might be like a mismatch in terms of where my buyer is at, where my customer is at, and the content that I'm sharing. I've had this experience recently with promoting my new mastermind, which was a brand new offer. So there's always a lot of testing and tweaking and refining with your marketing messaging. But I realized that I was marketing to people to be like, hey, I want to come help you build out new revenue streams and digital products. And that was the strength of my messaging. That was what my angle was. And I got a lot of interest. But what I realized with the people coming through the door initially was they weren't quite ready for that step yet. They still needed to go through the process of like implementing better systems, hiring team members to give them actually some time to then go out and build the digital products. So there was a little bit of a tweak and a shift in my messaging to make sure I was meeting people at the level that they were at. Like, let me help you systemize your business, improve your back-end systems to open up new revenue streams in your business. Like, there was just a little bit of a pivot in my messaging there, because I realized by just going in hardcore, being like, I'm going to help you make multiple 6 figures with digital products, that kind of cut off a little portion of my audience, because they felt like they weren't at that level and they couldn't inquire with me or find out more information about my mastermind because they're like, oh, I'm not at that level yet. Like, I'll contact Alan soon. And I had to do like a little bit of coaching with these potential customers to actually show them that they were the right client, that they were in the right place for me to work with. This could also go for other service providers. Maybe you're a website designer and you are trying to sell like a $20,000 website build when in reality there's like a mismatch with your audience and they don't even understand the value of having a website. Maybe they've got like a stand store set up yet. So it's like there's a balance of, are we talking to the right customers, of course, and finding those high ticket clients, but also like what is your content saying? Where is your content meeting them? Is there a mismatch there? And the fourth layer of your strategy I refer to as the offer pathway. This is traditionally what people might say as a call to action on an Instagram post. But for me, offer pathway sums it up in a really nice way with the idea that every piece of content should be leading a customer down a pathway. It doesn't necessarily mean that every single piece of content has to directly sell to a specific offer. Like, I don't necessarily need to post something and be like, this is the direct service, like hire me to do this. This is where we start introducing our lead magnets and our funnels, right? And in turn, this can help increase our engagement if we have a freebie, a lead magnet, a quiz of some sort, and we're giving that away for free in the comments. That is going to like increase our engagement, right? So it's kind of getting a bit strategic around how could we have someone find us on whatever social media platform, and how could they then come into a sales funnel? Like, how could we lead them down a pathway towards a specific offer? I will say sometimes I'm not perfect at this. Like, I've been recording a bunch of podcast episodes today, which, by the way, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify or you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you're following. But I'm really trying to be intentional this year with having specific offers with every single piece of content, or some sort of pathway that I'm sending this audience member, this viewer down. I've been kind of bad about doing it for this podcast, I must admit today, but I also have a different goal for this podcast. Like, we're just trying to get the momentum back up. I'm trying to reconnect with my audience after going cold over here. But with my emails in particular, I've been being really strategic in terms of there is a topic and then there is a pathway to send them down. I'm hoping that's kind of making sense. I want to break this down into more of a clear, actionable, step-by-step process for those of you listening, so that you can actually like go away and start implementing this straight away. I have mentioned this in past videos before. This is going to kind of be like almost like a 6 steps that summarize this entire video, everything we've talked about, and put it into an actual actionable step-by-step system for you. So number one, we're going to define our primary offer, or we're going to define our offer suite. If you're a more experienced business owner, you might have a couple of different offers, a couple of different funnels. If you're new, I would suggest just focusing on one. So number one, we have what we're going to sell. Number two, choosing our platforms. Like I mentioned, 1 to 2 platforms, 1 core platform, 1 primary platform, and then 1 secondary platform. Step number 3, starting a little bit of that audience analysis. As I said, we want to make sure the messaging in our content is meeting the audience where they're at. This might look like surveys. This might look like some Instagram polls. You might want to go and interview some like past clients and really kind of unpack how your service has helped them. Bonus points, you're going to get a testimonial out of this, but it's also like understanding their pain points and how you can help them. A subcategory of this is we want to do a little bit of industry analysis. This is what I refer to as your competitor research. We're going to go through, we're going to look at other people who are doing well on whatever social platform you've chosen. We're going to analyze their top pieces of content. Bonus, if you want to run that through like an AI system and get them to analyze it. I have actually built my own custom chat GPT recently. It's called the Content Coach, and it's designed to help make content creation easier and be your little assistant, be your little coach. And I've actually built it based on not just my teachings, not just my social media strategy and my courses about Instagram growth, but it's also based around my analytics. So I have put into this custom chat GPT all of the data from all of my Instagram content from the last year and a half, so that the content ideas that's going to give you are based around like data and what's actually working on Instagram. So instead of doing your competitor analysis, your industry analysis, you could totally just check out the Social CEO Toolbox, which is my offer that includes access to my custom ChatGPT, the content coach. Just got to give myself a little bit of a plug there. Also, this is really meta when we're talking about making content that has a clear pathway. So that is the pathway of this episode. Once you have defined your offers, chosen your platform, done that research around your audience, this is when you can jump into creating your content pillars. I've talked about this in a few other videos, so I don't want to bang on about it, but I really believe content pillars still have a place in a social media strategy in 2025. I think it gives you clarity. I think it gives you a system to follow, and that organization can ultimately help you be more consistent. But we are building our content pillars with a sales mindset. So I really like to think of my pillars as what is a top level awareness piece of content, what is a nurture piece of content, and what is a conversion focused piece of content, and how can I sprinkle this throughout my content pillars. And again, coming back to what I said earlier, thinking about what your personal goals are with your business. This audience analysis that you've done, the industry analysis, your content pillars, this is going to be the foundation for generating content ideas. But what's really important in the next piece of your strategy is making sure you're consistently layering in social proof. This is what is going to take your strategy from something that's just getting likes and getting engagement through to something that is actually generating sales. Testimonials, case studies, social proof is what leads to conversions, in my opinion. And again, you could build a case study that's based around your own business. I do this a lot. Like, I'll talk about my journey as a social media manager and a case study of what I did. And that does ultimately sell and promote my offers and my coaching. But at the end of the day, that is so much more valuable than just a list of quick tips or a list of hacks. Like, it's actually showcasing what I've done, the transformation, the growth that I've experienced, and then kind of that subtle way of going, hey, I can do this for you too. From here, the next thing you're going to be doing is creating a repurposing system. So as we mentioned, we want to have at least 2 platforms, right? You want to have your primary platform and your secondary platform. Your secondary platform is where you want to be like repurposing content into, whether that is literally taking a reel from Instagram and putting it on TikTok or putting it on YouTube, or whether it's taking the idea of that reel and putting it into a longer podcast episode or putting it into an email newsletter. There's lots you can do here. And as you grow with your business and you have more time and you've upskilled and you're putting your content output on Instagram is faster and you have more time up your sleeve, that is when you start expanding to even more platforms and the repurposing system becomes even more important. In summary, the things I want you to stop doing in 2025 is posting for the sake of posting, prioritizing virality over visibility. We're not doing that. And ignoring the importance of conversion content and stuff like those case studies and testimonials because you're too busy chasing trends. And one of the things I was also trying to get across to you, coming back to the conversation of messaging and meeting the clients or audience members where they're at, is you need to stop trying to talk to everyone. And this doesn't mean we have to get super niche with our Instagram and super niche with our offers and services, because if you've listened to the podcast before, you know how I feel about niching. You know how I think it can put you in a box and it can limit you sometimes. But I also think there's an element of not necessarily having a niche, but also having a specific audience that you speak to, specific people that you want to work with and who are going to connect with you. Remember, going viral is nice, but growing a business, growing a long-term sustainable business that is generating you an income is so much better. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you are subscribed, whether you watch on YouTube or listen on Apple or Spotify. Thank you so much for being here, and make sure you tune in for next week's episode.